Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. And Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Yeah, Promoter 101. Hi, I'm Harvey Goldsmith. I'm on Promoter 101, and my company's called Artist Promotion Management Limited.
Episode 170. We made it. Only 30 more of these bad boys to go of the Promoter 101 podcast. Joining me now, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand and a round of applause. Your friend and mine, Mr. Luke Pierce.
Oh, Dan, you're too kind. You're too kind, Dan. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you here on the podcast. We are keeping it classy here. We're going to continue our New York sessions rocking this week as we've got CAA's Lee Goforth to talk about breaking artists to the hottest festivals. He's in the mix on all of it. Great interview ahead.
Plus, from 888 Management, George Couri turns the tables on me.
Looking forward to that, Dan. Episode 170, Promoter 101. Here we go.
Daniel Glick. I work for Evenco on Promoter 101.
So the word is out. The podcast is coming to an end fast. But hey, you can be with us live and in person as we do the last interview in Nashville, Tennessee at the wonderful AIBA conference.
Looking forward to that, Dan. Looking forward to hosting everybody here in Music City, Tennessee. October 27th to the 29th, we'll be here at the JW Marriott as part of the AIBA conference. That's the International Entertainment Buyers Association, and it is one of the most productive conferences I've found in the last 4 or 5 years for the live setting stuff. And I'd encourage you to come out and attend because we are wrapping up this podcast with so many of our friends in attendance. It's going to be a very special day. It'll be our last interview. It'll be our last live podcast recording. Check out registration now at ieba.org. I hope you all make it down.
It's going to be like pandemonium running wild all over you, Lucas.
It is indeed.
Hey, if you got something you want to share with us, you can just email us. No big thing. Steiny at promoter101.net. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
We'll respond. But hey, listen, if you don't like emails and you like doing the social things, we're all over Twitter, commenting, snarking, liking things, occasionally retweeting things, Dan, although not always. I'm at W. Luke Pierce, Dan's the Jew, and the show is at Promoter 101. Check it out.
Yeah, you can also catch us on Instagram. The show is Steiny at Promoter 101. Luke is W. Luke Pierce, and I'm at Dan Presents, and Connor?
I'm at Connor Phoenix Yo.
That is some entertaining shit you should check out immediately.
And on Facebook, we're Promoter 101. On Tumblr, we're Promoter 101. On the World Wide Web, we are at Promoter101.com. Plus, Connor, where are the cool kids at?
Everybody's on LinkedIn.
Goddamn right they are.
This is Emma Banks. I work at Creative Artists Agency, and this is Promoter 101.
Let's celebrate some birthdays for the week of July 23rd to the 29th, 2019. Dan, let's drop some names.
7/23, that's Tuesday, talking about Bob Davis.
On Wednesday, the 24th, wishing a happy birthday to Latitude 38's Tom Hoppa.
7/25, that's Thursday, Dan Rankin, Bookham Dano, and the great and legendary Louis Messina, which I predict Dan Rankin will become legendary like Louis Messina.
Wow, bold calls there, wishing this guy a happy birthday. On Friday the 26th, happy birthday to David Kells, Michael Marion, and Doug Kaufman.
7/27, the Rialto Theater's Chris Carey. Happy birthday.
Man, this is a good birthday here, Dan, on Sunday the 28th. Happy birthday to Greg Little, Casey McCabe, Kathy Frazier, Teresa Guy, Tim Tabor, First Avenue, and all the amazing things in Minneapolis. Mr. Nate Kranz. Happy birthday, brother.
And heading back to London on 7/29, that's Monday, Tom Hopewell. Happy birthday, brother. Can't wait to have a pint with you, my friend.
Wonderful wishes to everybody on your birthday from the gang here at Promoter 101.
This is Alex Hodges, Omar Al-Jilani,
John Pleater, Mark Norman,
Noel Argest,
Ted Hynek,
Mike Mowry,
Joel Pryor
on Promoter 101,
my favorite podcast.
Promoter 101 Flashbacks.
Episode 89.
Omar Al-Jilani.
Steve's whole vision at the time of the agency group was to build pods where you'd have these senior agents and then you'd have junior agents underneath them who would learn and help book the roster. And he'd create
like Melanie Val Wolf under Andy Summers.
Yeah, he wanted to create these pods. They said, or you can stay in LA, which I was enjoying, and you can go run Keith Nesbitt's business because Keith Nesbitt really needs help. He's a great signer. He's a great earner, but he's really struggling figuring out how to run his business. The reason for that is because Keith required his staff to get to work at 4 a.m. every day.
Because of the international.
Yeah, Keith books internationally, primarily, very little in North America. I think about it for a minute, decide this Keith Nesbitt idea, how bad could it be? And so I do a 2-year tour of duty working for Keith Nesbitt. So 2008, 2009, I worked for Keith. I ran our business. So I hired our staff. I trained our staff. I had to fire a bunch of our staff. I did a lot of client relations. I booked a lot. Keith really believes that the way to book an act is to go write down every possible lead and then call them. So it was a very old school style of booking. We didn't use a lot of email. Artist was worth $150,000. We quoted $300,000 and we were off to the races. And Keith worked with some really big names, heritage names at the time. We did the first tour with Journey and the new lead singer in Europe. Michael Bolton was a longtime client of Keith's, Kenny G. We had a lot of big heritage names. And I wound up spending a lot of time traveling around the world to a bunch of places that I would bet you've never been, put out fires, collect cash, and just do various Keith Nesbitt duties.
You made Keith the Oz.
Yes, the Aussie. So I did that for 2 years, and then I needed to be rescued. At this point, Steve had left the agency group and gone to Live Nation. And right as my contract was expiring at the agency group, at the end of January 2010, Steve and I had started talking about possibly coming over to Live Nation. And so I left the agency group, and I got an offer at that point from Live Nation to go work in their touring division, which was ramping up at the time in the winter of 2010. So I went to work for Steve again as a tour director. So Steve was buying and running tours. And so I was there to help support that.
I'm Sarah Beasley from Wolf Trap, and I'm on Promoter 101.
It's time to turn the tables. It's time to turn the
tables. Kicking things off on the 170th episode of Promoter 101, we're going to be joined by Triple 8's George Couri, who's here to turn the tables on Steiny.
What's on your mind, man?
Okay, so what is the favorite show you've ever promoted?
It's hard to decide, but they're all Triple 8 artists, and I think I love them all.
Okay, let's
equally.
exclude Triple 8 artists for the moment.
I got to promote the Scorpions a couple years ago in Kent, Washington. A sold-out arena show with Queen's Red opening. Steve Martin flew up his last night of the tour. My partner Jason flew up. My kid was there. My wife was there. And there was something very cool. It was home market for Queensryche.
Mm-hmm.
First sold-out rock show in this arena. Video and production came on. It was like 10 semi-show. Huge. And I was always a rock kid in the 80s. It was like big into Motley Crue and Metallica and Poison and Warrant. And it was like...
So 12-year-old Dan...
Yeah, high-fiving the shit out of
was
me.
alive and well that night and just like high-fiving current Dan.
It was so cool because I always wanted to promote big, massive arena rock shows. But I didn't want to promote big, massive arena rock shows today. I wanted to promote them when I was 15. I mean, sure, I love doing arena shows. Don't get me wrong. But the vibe, the energy of a Queensryche show with Scorpions. It's like when those guys played Wind of Chain, and it was like, oh my fucking God, dude.
Were they as good as 12-year-old Dan would have wanted them to be?
They killed it, man. It was awesome. It was a great note all the way through.
Are you going to do more with them?
We've gotten a chance to do a bunch with those guys. They're really great act. I love doing the rock shows. They're just fun. And then if I can steal a second one,
do it.
I got to do Social Distortion at the Ryman. You know, and they were playing their first album from start to finish. I don't know that there was a better moment than when Mike Ness like walked to the side of the stage and said, "How many more songs can I do?" Because like they did the album and then they started doing the encore, and I was like, "Dude, keep going. We're not on curfew." He's like, "Okay, cool." They did 3 encores that night. I've never seen them do that.
So is that more teenager Dan having fun in that moment?
Dude, I was bouncing off the fucking walls that night. It was like sold out show, standing next to Klitschko. The place was just packed out. He rocked the Ryman. The show went long. I looked at Sally and I was like, "We okay?" And she's like, "This is great." I was like, "All right, Sally Williams approves. I'm not in trouble." Social Distortion rocking it. Agents happy, band's happy, crowd's happy. Call it a win. We made a couple bucks that night too, which doesn't suck.
You get to live your childhood fantasies and make money at the same time.
Yeah, isn't that great? It so rarely works out that way.
Was there anyone growing up that you knew that had anything to do with the entertainment business? Or were you like the first person that you or anyone in your family or friends knew that went into it?
There was definitely not a family connection by any means. My parents took me to see Tony Orlando and Dawn at the turn of the century ballroom, and a lot of
that knocked 3 times on the ceiling.
Yeah,
is that what that is?
Yeah. A lot of markets used to have these Vegas type dinner showrooms where there were booths and whatever. Maybe the rooms hold 250 or 400 or whatever, and you'd have an early show and then a late show. They'd turn the house and play 2 shows in a night. And whether it was a Shana Na or Tony Orlando or whatever, acts played these type of rooms before it was really about playing the theaters. They made their money on the dinner shows. And I think you're starting to see this come back with like city wineries and places like the Triple Door, and some of the jazz clubs and comedy clubs are really getting better at like making the event where it kind of feels like you're at the Sands watching the Rat Pack, It's like, but I remember my parents taking me to that first concert, and I was like, I want to do this. My mom's like, oh, you want to perform? It's like, no, I want to be the guy in the back room that they're all working for.
How old were you?
7, 8, maybe.
Wow, you knew right away.
Yeah, I never varied from. I had a plan. I was gonna go to work for the sporting goods store that had the Ticketmaster machine. I wanted to get a job at Dave Cook so I could sell tickets, so I could like understand how Ticketmaster worked or
and
select
you did all those things?
No, I didn't.
But you figured it out.
Long before that, I was in a band, and I started figuring out that like I probably didn't need to work the ticket outlet to understand the industry. I probably was better off doing shows and jumping right into it. But, I had a Ticketmaster contract very early on. I think I was in middle school when I called Sally Brown at Ticketmaster Denver to cut a deal so I could sell tickets through Ticketmaster. Ironically, I have been a Ticketmaster client continually straight through. Since then, they've changed the name on the deal when they've revised as we've become a corporation and bought by other companies or what have you. But I've continuously been with Ticketmaster since I was 13 years old.
Wow, that's a serious tagline. So on behalf of all managers everywhere, what advice do you have for managers, or issues that you see or things that managers miss that you wish you could just tell all managers?
So the one thing I think a lot of younger managers make the mistakes of, you guys are actually really good about this, but younger managers make the mistake of, is not realizing that when you call us on Thursday and say, we're putting the show on sale on Tuesday, or we're announcing Tuesday and we're going up Friday, I think you forget that there's a lot of other things in the queue. And if we don't have time to set up marketing correctly, I can build the show in the system and get ticketing ready to go, and I can turn things on, but I can't get you the special email blast, or I can't get you the feature on somebody's Twitter account. I can't get the venue to promise. Like, there are a lot of things that if I have 3 weeks to set up, I can make sure that with other traffic that you have your window. But when you come to me and tell me that we're putting everything up in 48 hours and it's like 5 o'clock on Thursday and you're ready to go and you want to see an ad plan, and we're just like, I'm not going to get anything played, especially if there's any possibility of any terrestrial radio being involved or any kind of real social media. If I can take it to my team and give them 10 days to set something up proper, opposed to like 2 days, the difference is you're going to come out of the box so much better. And for the things that you don't pay for, just the things that I can get you for free if I have more time, extra email blasts, those extra like inclusions. It's amazing when you can get on a list that has 200,000-300,000 people on it. If we have time to set that up, if I can go to the venue and get them to push it up front, or get a splash page set up on the venue page when they come because it's a bigger show or something, like, those things are priceless. And we fuck that up quite a bit in the industry when it's just like, national tours going on sale, we're announcing Tuesday. It's like, okay, wow.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just they procrastinated, or do you think that they just didn't get all their shows organized and confirmed until that day?
I think there's a lot of that. I think there's some cases where something happens. Like, I know in the case of Home Free, a couple times, Lucas called and saying, we got to go up on Tuesday with the whole tour because the guys just got Boxing Friends. This is a big look. And when a manager says that, we're like, okay, well, that's a bigger look than getting an email blast. Yeah. I get what's going on there. I'll take the trade out. And yes, of course, we're going to make it work. That's what you want. You're asking. It's my job as a service industry. I'll get it done. It's just, sometimes if you give me the opportunity, I can get more things done. In a lot of cases, I just don't think people care. I know one agent in particular likes to say, let's just put it up today. And it's just like, that's a little hard. It's going to piss off the box office, one. Mm-hmm. It's like, two, it's going to make things tight on marketing. And 3, it's just like, you're going to piss off some fans. Like, if we just slip it up and the people that are fans, like, we don't give them a notice that they should be ready to buy tickets and give them a window of knowing it's going on sale in 24 or 48 hours on pre-sale, your hardcore fans might be pissed off. They missed a chance at the best seats in the house because we just didn't fucking have a chance to properly notify them. And they're your fans. They're loyal. They deserve to have that opportunity, particularly on a reserve seat show. On a GA show, maybe in a ballroom, less likely to make a difference. But, the more time we have to set things in motion, the better it's going to be. If it's short notice and the show is 3 weeks out, then yeah, I'd rather be on sale tomorrow. But if you're going on sale tomorrow for a November show, I think we can take the extra week to settle this up. And I imagine all of my counterparts nationally would tell you the same thing. The more time we give to set it up, to notify all of our partners and all of the media circuits and the venues and the ticketing companies, the better it's going to be for you.
It seems super logical.
It does.
It makes me wonder why it would happen so often the other way.
It does, and it happens a lot. I mean, obviously, you don't see too many shed or arena tours or stadium tours dropped on you the next day. But it's amazing how many PAC shows now and how many big ballroom shows I'm being told, hey, we're putting this up. And if you have any kind of affiliation at all with like a TV thing, if there's one of these TV franchises, it's like, man, if I have a chance to coordinate with the local affiliate, like this could be monstrous. Like doing this right. Like I can set up ticket gives all week long on the morning and evening local news on that affiliate. Like they're going to want to make sure that they get a chance to have promotion set up for their clients to somehow be involved. Like that's huge. These are huge cross promotions that cost you nothing. Just some time to let us set them up and help us make sure you have the best view in the market, setting up for future plays and hopefully saving money on the back end that will wind up bonusing you and not spending on marketing, which is the payoff for everybody, right? Because if we had a $3,000 budget and I somehow sold it out for $1,800 because I was able to get you into all of those extra avenues, we all win.
Right. Because obviously very few acts can just send an email to their base and hit socials and just sell the show.
Right. And sure, there's those exceptions. It's like Dave Chappelle doesn't need much help.
Right.
His Twitter account's probably going to do most of the work for you. But in a lot of other cases, wouldn't we just be better off having every possible angle running?
Of course. Last question. Tell me the funniest thing that happened with one of your kids in the last month.
Reese is big into dance, and they do reserve seat recitals. They go up quick and pop out fast, so they sell out, and it's a huge thing. So Reese came to me, and she's like, there's no ticket limit, and there's a limited number of shows. So couldn't we just go in the first day and buy all the tickets and resell? And Reese had discovered platinum ticket selling on her own. I know that's probably not what a lot of you are calling it, but I'm going with that. My daughter has figured out how to be an entrepreneur.
How old is she?
Reese is 13, and I was very proud. She understood a market. She realized there was a supply and demand problem. She realized there was more value on the ticket. And as the artist, oh yeah, it is platinum because she's the artist. As the artist, she wanted to make sure that revenue came back to the artist.
So she's clearly listening to you maybe even more than you realize.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that. It's just I think she saw supply and demand because I don't think Reese is listening to the podcast. But I was really, really entertained by the concept of I think a couple $1,000 investment could really pay off because who's not going to pay to see their kids even if we like really crank up the price? It was just like,
it's true.
Wow. Thanks so much, George.
Thank you.
So excited to have George right here with us. We can't wait to share that full interview with him coming up on episode 171 of the Promoter 101 podcast. Leave it right here to hear more all about the great George Couri and everything that's happening at 888 Management.
My name is Terry McBride. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Network Music Group, and I'm on Promoter 101.
It's Monday, Dan, so we got a week ahead to look forward to, and that means that somebody is the Promoter 101 Badass of the Week. Who is it?
Well, this week it goes out to our friends at Live Nation Chicago's own Douglas LaFreak. Doug is the backbone of rock and roll in the Windy City, making him this week's Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
The man from Windy City. Congrats goes out to Live Nation Chicago's Doug LaFreak on Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
B101 in the morning with Steiny and the Beers. Only on Promoter 101.
In our featured interview this week, we're joined again on the podcast by CAA's Lee Goforth. He's here to talk about breaking artists at some of the hottest festivals. Lee, as one of the youngest agents in the mix, of all of it. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm hanging out with CAA's own Lee Goforth. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Steiny. Thanks for having me.
It's nice when we can get an independent agent with a small baby agency just finally breaking through here on the podcast. CAA is starting to make some news. Welcome to the block, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Feels like we're doing just fine.
Kind of the dream job, right? I mean, one of the biggest agencies in the world, massive roster, New York office, CAA. Dude, you've got the dream gig. How did you get there? Let's talk about the history.
If you would have told 16-year-old me what I'd be doing now, I wouldn't have believed you and probably didn't even realize it was a job at that point. You know, coming out of college, I moved to LA. I knew one or two people even in the business and no music agents, no music related people in the business. So for me, it was, I knew I could do one thing. I could put my head down and work hard. I landed in the mailroom here at CAA.
No, that's not an easy gig to get, right? Like you really have to impress a lot of people. It's like getting a gig at the White House as an intern. It's a really hard gig to get.
That's very true. I mean, you really do in a lot of ways in all the agencies and companies in our business. You got to know somebody to get in or at least network yourself into the right rooms where those people are that can give you those jobs. For me, I started as a temporary hire in our mailroom where at the end of every day, I faxed in my timesheet of what I worked that day and I waited on the call later that night if I would come back the next day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that happened for 3 months at CAA. So for me, it was every day I was happy to be back at CAA. I started in the old building over in Beverly Hills. And after 3 months, we moved into the new building in Century City.
The Death Star.
The Death Star, yes. I was a part of the move. I was there working hours after hours, moving boxes and preparing us to move into the new building, which at the time I was excited and happy. And it was a part of entertainment history, not just music history. I was happy to be a part of.
LA is a different vibe than New York for sure. The pace is completely different. The vibe is different. You've been in both cities. How does that break up for you?
I had a great run in LA and I love LA. You know, I started my career there. I worked in the LA office for 12 years. I learned from some of the greatest agents in the business and the history of our business in that building. I moved to New York about a year ago where we have a much smaller office. We're leaner and meaner. We have some of the greatest agents here in New York that some are staples in the music business in the New York office. So for me, it was, you know what, I was going to do the same job I did in LA. Everyone who knew me there knew my work ethic and knew I'd move to New York and do the same. You know, and when those conversations started, you know, my bosses were all pretty excited that I was going to move to our New York office and be a part of the team. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that hallway over here that you can walk into Nat Farnham's office and Mario Tirado, you know, Scott Morris, just like an incredible row. I've been gone for days, but there's so much talent and so much history in that hallway.
I think with those guys, they're some of the best deal makers in the history of our business. And that's why they are where they are. And that's why they've had such a long career. We've also got a great young part of the office that, you know, and Will Scott and Ben Schildkraut and Ryan Thompson, some of the young guys that are out there every single night, kind of beating the doors down of these clubs and are finding new talent, signing new talent, and they're in the mix of every conversation. And if you ask people in New York that have been there longer, they don't think about me in the streets of New York. They think about those guys who are there and everywhere in every conversation.
It's funny that you bring that up because we don't talk about it. You can't keep a roster like CAA's without continually developing new talent and having the new stars of tomorrow because you guys have some of the biggest acts in the world, but that doesn't just happen.
Yeah, I mean, everyone really, it's not hard to find out our roster online of all the legendary acts we work with and the list of clients that Rick and Daryl and Mitch and Rob and everybody has created over time and signed over time and been able to keep. We're lucky to be in business with every one of those artists, but for the future of our careers, and, you know, we like to build career artists. We got to sign early too. We got to be in those conversations when that first song hits SoundCloud and goes nuts, when they first sell out a 200 cap room in New York City. We're there. We want to sign those artists. We're looking for that next level of talent.
Yeah, because God forbid one of these bands isn't lying when they say this is a farewell tour and they actually do go away.
Yes.
Kiss may not actually have another leg. They could actually end and there may not be another band to commission after that.
The farewell tour, the reunion tour,
we mean it this time.
The retirement sucks tour. Like they're very real.
Okay, so let's talk about your talent because you've got a diverse roster, but yet at the same time, very radio friendly stuff. One of your acts I love. I love a bunch of them, but Wesley Arms is going to be one of the biggest bands in the world. It's like people are about to figure this out. Like the internet's going to go nuts on this. It's going to happen. Like live, I don't think there's a better band right now. They just bring it.
Yeah, they're kind of a seeing is believing. You know, the songs when you hear the records are very anthemic and, you know, they're from Ohio. They're a little bit throwback to a real rock band that shreds and also has a front man that sounds like he grew up on the streets of New Orleans. I'm excited for their future. They're doing great right now. I can't wait to see what's next.
Drew Holcomb, we've done a couple dates on this thing together, and he's an artist. It's not just, here's my show every night. You're not going to get the same show if you see it 2 nights in a row in 2 different cities. It's not going to be pre-cammed audience banter. Like, this guy's an artist that connects.
Yeah, I enjoy and I love working with Drew. He's a friend. He's a partner. He's an artist that if I had never met him, I'd be listening to his records on the day of release every time. And for him, you know, he's from Tennessee. He is Mr. Tennessee. You know, really his story broke out of the Southeast. And we're seeing a lot of success with him. And he curates and founded the Moon River Festival, which is, you know, a festival for the last couple of years has sold out, you know, and he's moving into other parts of the country and he's touring with acts like Zach Brown Band and Willie Nelson, some of the legends in our business. So he's on the rise. Like, he's going to be around a long time. When we talk about career artists, he's one of those.
Yeah, he's got something good going on. And I don't think we've seen the last of him climbing up to the next level of venues by any means. Let's talk about Counting Crows. I mean, here's an act that was recording hits while you were still in school, right? So it's just like when they were breaking their first hits. And now you get to like see this act that you saw breaking videos on MTV. That's got to be kind of cool.
That's the exciting thing about, you know, at CAA, grow up here, and it's all about signing new talent. And we get to work with some of the established talents on our roster. I'm excited. I'm lucky that, you know, guys like Rick Roskin came before me that, you know, had been with the Counting Crows since the beginning and really had built their career. And to see the evolution of Adam and what the Crows have done every single year, they're a staple in the outdoor concert genre. So
Andy Grammer, one of the biggest hits in the last couple of years, like that thing's fucking everywhere.
He's the nicest guy. Like, he's one of those guys that you want to win and you want to keep going to the next level. His show is as exciting as any arena pop show you've ever seen. He's got a full band on stage. There's production, no matter if he's in a 1,000 cap room or a 12,000 cap room. He's got a hit kind of bubbling right now. And we all know every 18 months, Andy finds one of those hits and it's off to the moon.
It's kind of nice that he's just got that knack for continuing to hit the next single. You get these one hit wonder kind of things where it's a song like that just pops and then they fizzle out, but he keeps reemerging, which is kind of cool, like, because there's a talent for that.
Yeah, he's another one. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. He'll be here for a long time.
Seems like he can fit with a lot of different acts, too. Very diverse in the way you guys have packaged him up on different amphitheater packages or different support scenarios or co-headlining things. It's not the same thing. You guys are hitting different crowds and finding different fans with him with the way that his fan base overlaps, which is really kind of a neat thing that he's got that flexibility and you guys have been able to like work that.
Yeah, I mean, we pride at CA just collaboration and packaging. And, you know, it's our job as the agent to find those opportunities. And if we weren't thinking out of the box and thinking about new and interesting ideas, we should be fired, because it's our job to push them past their boundaries of what they think is right down the center, the idea for them. Our job is to bring up opportunities that they may not be thinking about.
All right, you ready to nerd out with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so there are not many people that can go toe-to-toe with me on an a cappella conversation over my expertise of Straight No Chaser and Home Free Days, which continue, thank God, put Reese through college. You also work with one of the biggest a cappella acts in the world. Pentatonics is doing amazing business, continuing to grow. Their YouTube sensation is huge, not to mention the launch they got from TV. But it's something for everyone, and it's such a high-energy show. What an incredible success story.
It's another one. I'm lucky enough to be in business with them and be friends with them and be alongside them in their careers. You know, all of the credit is to what they've built online and what they put into their production and their live performances. To watch them go from theaters, from the TV show to theaters, and then on to, you know, where we just started an arena tour where they're playing the Forum in LA and MSG in New York. And to most of the world, unless you're a fan or you're on the inside of the business, you would have no idea that they're doing those numbers. But this is the second or third year in a row where we've been either in arenas, amphitheaters, doing 10 to 15,000 tickets a night. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. And it's nice from our point of the business with his heavily invested in a cappella as we are as Emporium and Live Nation is as well into the a cappella business, to see that it can grow past theaters, it can grow into the arenas, it can grow into the amphitheaters. And now that the sound systems are as good as they are, because that was always the question, could we do this amazing show without a band? The music is so much harder to produce vocally. You really have to hear the distinct pitches in the voices. So will it work outside? Will it work in the arenas? And I don't know that 10 years ago the sound systems were good enough. But now, with the new boards and the new systems and the line arrays being as good as they are, I don't know that you couldn't do stadiums with it.
They're musical geniuses. They are the best in class. So to match that on a production level, is as important as the talent itself. And it's part of when we go to confirm every show with them, we make sure every promoter knows and put it in writing that this isn't just 5 mics on a stage and whatever sound system will do.
Well, you guys are carrying production on those tours, aren't you?
There's 7 trucks of production we're bringing on these tours.
And a lot of that's got to be sound just because...
A lot of it is sound, and a lot of it is risers and lifts and LED walls, and we put everything behind it, but so that we can match the talent, match the sound.
All right, and you got to fill that stage in since there's not that whole band playing. You got to create the show.
We got a lot more stage to work with. There's not a drum kit in the way,
But it's a high-energy Broadway show, essentially, too, on top of being an amazing live dance show and music concert.
On top of the, summer series that we do when we go on the road there, they also have a healthy business where we'll camp out at the Beacon in New York for 4 nights in a row, and then we'll do a run of big theaters on the East Coast that's just Christmas music. So, luckily enough, they get 2 bites at the apple on this thing.
Now, when you're rolling out major markets on something that's that massive on a commercial success level, are you thinking about, I have to leave room because we might wind up with a Today Show, we might wind up with Fallon? You guys leaving room for that when you guys are routing tours a year in advance, knowing that your album's dropping or you're 6 months in advance, whatever? Something that big, you have to plot for that, right?
Absolutely. And also, I'd be remiss not to give credit to the team here that puts this thing out there. But, I work with Brian Manning on this and Shannon Fitzgerald here at CAA. And between the 3 of us, it's a group effort, watching out for press opportunities, whether it's a tree lighting in New York or it's a We Day opportunity in LA. It all makes the machine go. So we're definitely watching what markets we play in the summer so that we don't oversaturate the ones for Christmas and vice versa.
Right. And obviously the record label, the publicist, all play and involve whether you guys wind up in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or something, and these things don't just happen. That takes a lot of work to find whether it's a Saturday Night Live or a Today Show or CBS Morning Show. Like, those are huge national looks, but those things don't just happen. And the availability thing, you got to be ready for it when it happens. So that team has really got to be well functioning to make that stuff happen. And you guys keep hitting that stuff out of the park with them.
Yeah, communication is key. Between John Coulter, our manager, and our team here at CA, we're talking to each other multiple times a day, even when we're not on tour. Even while we're on tour, we're thinking at all times 18 months, 2 years ahead. We're having conversations right now about 2021 and what the band's going to do then.
How much bigger can acapella get?
No spoiler alerts here, but we shall see. There's some exciting stuff we're talking about for the next 2 or 3 years that the band's going to keep doing what they're doing, making great content. They have a lot of projects individually that they work on from time to time. And, there really is no limit. It'd be hard to put an expectation on where the ceiling is for this thing. I think it's going to keep going, and we're in the development business. We're going to keep on building.
Content.
It's
a key word, right? We're in a new cycle where bands would put out an album once every 18 months to 3 years when we were kids, and historically the last 30 years before that. And now bands putting out new videos every week or month or quarter, and quarters for the slow guys. Feeding the beast is a new thing. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, interacting with the audience, engaging, constantly producing something, whether it's a clever tweet or a couple of 3-second videos. But this thing of constantly feeding the beast is something that takes an amazing amount of creativity, an amazing team, and really changes the artist's point of view. It's like you can't just take a picture for an album cover and be done for the album cycle anymore.
It's a full-time job for them. It's not a gig where they can just put out 1 record a year, no matter what artist we're talking about. Putting out a record every couple of years like it used to happen, is a thing of the past in some ways. And you've got to keep on connecting and talking to your fans, whether it's through content, whether it's through social media. It's important to keep reaching out to those fans, because if you are not, someone else is. Some other artist is out there grabbing your fans.
You have such a vast array of artists that you work with. You have definitely not doubled down in any one particular place. Classic alternative, let's call it, with the Counting Crows, and Drew is certainly in that jammy kind of artistic world. Pentatonics are killing it in the acapella space, probably one of your mom's favorite bands kind of thing. Andy Grammer is a pop thing that everybody can dance to. You're all over the place. Is your next act going to be urban? Are you going to sign a comic? What's on the plate for you?
I like a lot of different music. A lot of this is really because I'm so all over the map on what I listen to. I look for talent, and I'm lucky enough to be in a place where there's a huge team of people who we're consistently talking to each other about new artists and talent that's out there, whether it's second opinions or looking for someone who has a connection to an artist. It really is a collaborative effort from all, and my roster reflects the many different people I work with at CAA. And, every one of those has multiple agents on the team that they all feel very different. But I think the one thread that's constant is unique talent. That is something that's interesting to the fan base. And, I'm sure there will be more things in the future that are not strictly what I think I typically book.
You represent another 10 acts. I would love to go through each and every one of them and your point of view on it, but I want to get to the festival business because you are big on the festival team at CAA. And festivals have kind of taken over the summer business where it used to be amphitheater summer tours like Lollapalooza and Horde and Warps. Now it's about destination festivals and getting on those lineups, and one market, one festival, like that can take a year's worth of work or more to get the act on and get them the right placement. And that's your gig.
Yeah, it's a different hat that you wear at CAA. A lot of us book, more than just our artists on our list of clients. We're booking territorially for the wide roster. So whether it's Beyonce and Kanye on a headline slot on a festival down to the youngest, smallest talent that we have at the 12 o'clock slot on the festival, we're booking everything in between. And it takes a lot of organization, and it takes a lot of rapport with those buyers that they trust what you're telling them about, what's coming next and what artist is on the rise. We are essentially strategically trying to place all of our artists in those festivals at the right times in their careers. We can get into the saturation of the market and all of that, but the best thing I think we offer to our artists is a timeline on when you should play Coachella and when you should play Outside Lands and ACL and the Rib Fest in Naperville, all of the different festivals that are across the country.
Nice pull on that one.
Yeah. Deep cut. There's a place for every one of them, and a place in every career of the artist for everyone. So for the health of the business, it's important to put them all in those right spots at the right time.
When you get the phone call from Paul Tillett or you get the phone call from Bobby Clay, they're going to pay your acts. It's a real festival. No matter what happens, your acts can be taken care of. You don't have to worry about it at all. But when the new promoter calls that, let's say, is a promoter just because he's calling you and saying he has money and he's got some land somewhere and he's doing a festival that no one's ever heard of, it's never happened. He's never done as much as a club show as much as but he's offering your artist a premium to play. How do you vet that? Because you got to take it seriously because those are multi-million dollars in most cases, especially for the headliners. And at the same time, how do you know if it's like some guy trying to throw a Fire Fest versus, okay, he's new, but he's got his shit together and this actually seems like a real thing? Because you have to be able to vet that for your artist. That's your job.
Our number one job is to protect our clients. And in this space, everyone loves to play festivals. Everyone loves playing a new festival, and it really is on us to vet those festivals and figure out, we welcome everyone, whether you're in your first year of a festival or your 20th year of a festival. Our artists are looking for all sorts of new opportunities to play. So, we hope every one of these is successful. But really in that conversation, it starts with a conversation of, who are you? Where do you come from? What do you do? Tell me about the festival. Show me what it looks like. What's the vision? The important question we all want to ask is, where does the money come from? And with every first year festival, we have a hard and fast rule. It's really all of the money up front, and it's nothing personal. It's only business,
Right. We don't know you. If the money's real, show it to us. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's several examples out there of festivals that were in this scenario, and they understood where they were in the market. They believed in themselves. They had a really good vision. They paid 100% up front in the first year. And some of those are in their 5th or 7th year now, and we trust them, and they have very different terms.
Okay, so let's pick a hypothetical act that doesn't exist. Huge act, new promoter calls in, they send you the offer. Do you go to your act saying, okay, we have the money, we know the money's real, they are our first promoter, this isn't Live Nation, this is an AEG, just so you're clear, we know that you're going to get paid. You make it very clear to them that we vetted this, we think it's good, but they are still a first-time promoter, so you do need to know that. Is that something that you break down just in a communication kind of thing?
Yeah, communication is key here, and we have to share all of the facts with them. All of these decisions are up to the artist. It is our job to share the pros, the cons, the goods, the bads, and let them make a decision. So in all of those circumstances, we put all of the information in front of them and we drive the ship together.
Okay. And then when you've got another festival, let's say we saw Hookah go down in Canada, which you never would have expected because they were a long-term company that had historically done that event and been doing big shows and paying artists forever. Does it catch a company off guard, or is it still the same kind of thing because it's a festival and you guys are prepared for that with your deposits, that the artists they get the business, they get that these things sometimes happens. Companies do go bankrupt. It happens. Is that something that artists and managers they get the reality of, or is that something that catches everybody off guard?
If it catches you off guard, I think you're not doing your job. I think from the moment you start the conversations with any buyer, you know where the vision is, you know where this festival is going, you know the pitfalls, you know the percentage of chance that this may not end up well, this may be just okay, or this is, brace yourself, we have all the money, but this may not be a great experience.
So the festival business in general is growing. It seems like there's more and more of these. Some of these brands are building, some of them are going away. As we've seen over the years, it's like companies go big, they double down quick, they invest millions and lose millions to build what hopefully will become the next Coachella. So when you see that, when you see an established promoter come out and say, okay, we know how to do this, they know what they're doing, and they're taking a new site, a new market, and trying a brand new festival. You get a call from Roger LeBlanc and saying, we're moving what we do in San Diego to Texas. He's an established buyer. There's real money there. Is that an exciting thing? Because they know how to do it right. And all of a sudden there's this multi-million-dollar talent fund that just popped up in a brand new market.
Bringing money to our clients is an exciting thing. The bar being Coachella, Lollapalooza, Outside Lands, ACL, Bonnaroo, that being the bar for all festivals is a high bar that's been set. I think the thing we're seeing more often now is very catered and curated festivals, whether it's a VIP experience for a certain demographic of fans that will pay that price point, or it's genre specific. We are seeing more and more very specific, fan base oriented. The fans are getting a better experience out of these festivals than they ever have. So we're excited when Roger has a new festival to talk about. Roger has shown us that he's found a way to win in this space as an independent, really. There are artists that love playing those festivals because they know from the moment they show up, they're going to get treated well. There's a fan base there. And even if it's year one in Texas, we know they're going to grow and develop and be better in year two.
So when you guys are starting to pitch acts for next year of a festival, how early does that start? When Coachella just played out, are you guys already in Paul's ear for next year?
Paul Tillett and I start talking about the artists for 2019, 18 months ahead of time. For 2020, we're already talking, and Coachella just ended. One of the ones that, most recently we talked about, Rufus Du Sol, who's an act that we do at CAA.
Yeah, it's coming on quick.
It's happening quick in a live way. They had an incredible set at Coachella this year. And that was an offer that we got 18 months prior to this festival because Paul saw where it was going. He had a vision of where it should go on the festival, and it paid in spades, tenfold.
So when you guys lock in a year in advance to a festival and an artist does blow up, they're playing a stage that's much smaller than the crowd definitely should be going to want because that hit is so massive at that moment. Is that cool, we blew out and that's the buzz because everybody couldn't see it? That was just so hot? Or it was oh man, it just blew up too quickly. We should have been on a bigger stage. Maybe we messed up there.
It's the job of every agent and the promoter of the festival to be inside the business enough to know where this is going to win the most. Whether it's Maggie Rogers on Coachella or Rufus Du Sol, it is really behoove the promoter and the agent. So Paul, having a vision of where things belong at what time and moving the set times around even up until...
Are there pivot times? Is that stuff that those guys have the ability to do and you guys can work out?
Yeah, I think every good festival buyer knows this is an act we're going to wait and figure out how the cards lay and where their year goes to where they belong and what time they should be playing and what stage they should be playing. There are also artists that from the moment you book them where they belong, whether it's a sunset thing or a closing a second stage. Those are things that you think about far out into.
Right. If you're booking a Chili Peppers to play a festival, they're not going to play at noon.
Right. They're not inside of a tent somewhere.
What's the goal? What's the future for you?
Hey, look, the goal for all of us and the goal for me as well is to keep growing the live space, keep looking for new opportunities that are outside of typical touring, whether it's podcasts, whether it's pop music, whether it's, anything in between. That is the goal, is really to find career artists and career talent.
Wait, you rep podcasts?
I don't personally. I may someday, but we do at CA.
You got any artists that are coming up that we should all be tuning into? What should we be hitting Spotify right now and checking out? What's coming up?
There's several that are very exciting that are really blowing up, which feels like overnight, but it's been kind of a long road for them building it, is Lennon Stella and Conan Gray. Lennon in the last year, hasn't even been playing live shows as a solo artist for a full year, but she's been selling out every date she's done. She's on tour currently with Anne-Marie in London on her arena tour. She comes back to the States in the fall for her Chainsmokers and 5 Seconds of Summer arena tour that she'll be supporting. So that one's really exciting. And on the other hand, Conan Gray is one that came out of online fandom, which has an incredible online engagement with his fans, has also sold out every club date that he's done. And we're going into bigger, better venues this fall, and doing somewhere in 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 capacity rooms on that run.
What's your favorite venue to book an artist into?
I would tell you the first venue they ever play is my favorite venue to book them in, whether it's the 200.
Wow, what an agent way to answer that question. By the way, Rich Schaefer's in the room, and his nod of approval in the way that you goaded that question was awesome.
Whether it's the 200 cap club or the 75 cap room, and when you see it for the first time in those situations, it's exciting to see where it came from and where it could go and where you want it to go.
Before I let you go, I know that a lot of the younger listeners that are trying to get in the business want to know that path. Like, you found your way to the mailroom and you said you got to know someone, but truly, how do you find one of those openings? How do you get in there?
Same for me. I say to every young person is just like, you've really got to put your head down, put in the hours, put in the work. Someone is working harder than you somewhere. And this business really is about who shows up, who does what they say they're going to do, and who gets the job done. Outside of that, there's no magic wand. There's nothing special. It doesn't matter who you know, but if you can't back it up, there really is no future for you.
I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on Promoter 101. Lee Goforth.
Thanks, Dan.
Promoter 101 bring you Lee Goforth. Just doesn't get any better than that. Boom goes the dynamite, Luke. Boom goes the dynamite. Boo, 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 boo.
Hey, this is Brian O'Connell with Live Nation, and we are on Promoter 101.
Hey, the quote of the week comes to us from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Indeed, wise words from a hero. I have to take it. Just go on straight to the cut.
Susan Rosenbluth, Golden Voice, on Promoter 101.
What a way to end our broadcast day with a quote from the man himself, Winston Churchill. That'll do it. Episode 170 of Promoter 101 in the bag. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the positive feedback, the reviews, the tweets, the comments, everything. And thank you to our amazing guests back on the podcast for the second time in as many episodes, CAA's Lee Goforth and 888's George Couri. Good to have you both in the podcast.
Hey, we'll be back this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, midnight in London.
Join us then. We're going to have George back in the podcast from 888. He'll be doing a sit-down featured interview, and you all should tune into it.
Until then, we're wishing you sold-out shows for the weeks to come.
Cheers. Call your mother.
Ted Cohen, Warner Brothers Records Road Rat on Promoter 101.
Ba-da-ba-ba.